Good evening, and welcome to
The Vault of Horror.
I'm the Chris Keeper. Today we would like you to enjoy a little tale we call Nintendo Don't Give a Damn.
Well, hello, thank you for joining me today. So many of you have probably seen there's this thing going around on YouTube called the $100 NES Challenge. And I've been nominated by Retro Projections, or should I say Retro Projections? No, let's stick with Retro. I think Retro is better. Anyhow, the idea is that if someone is starting a new collection, you're going to recommend some games that they can pick up for a total of under $100. I'm assuming we're going by the Price is Right rules here, so I'm going to try and get as close as I can without going over. But, as you may know, it's October, so we have a horror takeover on this channel. And I know a lot of people have been putting their own twist on this with different consoles and whatnot, but we're going to stick with the NES. And today, I'm going to try and help you maximize your horror experience on the Nintendo Entertainment System for less than $100. So without further ado, my first pick today is Fester's Quest. We'll be using price charting, which is a little divisive among gamers, but I think it's a good source for a nice, consistent price on things. Fester's Quest comes in at $7.09. So, we all know about this game. There were 3 Addams Family games on the NES. This is hands down the best of the 3, and it's also by far the cheapest, and it's the most inexpensive game on my list today. We've all heard about the looping projectiles in the confined spaces, which sort of hanker the gameplay a little bit, but this one definitely gets a bad rap, and I think if you give it a chance, you'll find that there's plenty to enjoy about Fester's Quest. I wanted to pick a point-and-click game. I think the definitive horror experience for that genre on the NES would be Uninvited, but that game single-handedly puts us over our $100 budget, so we can't pick that. The same developer gave us a very similar game called Shadowgate, which is not a bad choice, but bang for your buck in the graphic adventure point-and-click genre, I don't think you can do any better than Maniac Mansion. This was developed by LucasArts, and there's a large cast of characters to choose from, giving you different experiences, which adds to the replay value. And this is an interesting one. It definitely fits with the Halloween aesthetic, and it's a deep game. As you peel back the layers, you'll discover many different secrets. There's a lot to offer in this one, and it's a pretty easy choice for a list like this. Next, I wanted to choose a shooter. Originally, I thought about maybe throwing Life Force on here, but I think it's a bit of a stretch to call that game horror. There was another one that came to mind that not a lot of people talk about called Abidox. Now, first off, you can see right here on the cover, the logo is drenched in blood. So we're off to a good start there. But the imagery in this game is what really helps it fit in with that Halloween motif. We have flying eyeballs, skeleton dogs, all sorts of grotesque imagery. And at $13.25, it's well under our salary cap. Next up, possibly the most obvious choice you can come up with for horror on the NES, Castlevania. Now, I would say the third one's probably my favorite, but it's also the most expensive. The second one is the least expensive, but among the 3 on the NES, it's my least favorite. The first one, however, comes in at a respectable $26.40. And for many people, this is a go-to title for Halloween gaming on the NES. We have bats, Medusa heads, Dracula, and countless other things that lend itself well to the Halloween season. There's an overall gothic aesthetic to this game, and it just fits really well with Halloween gaming. Next, at $19.99, we have Monster Party. Now, admittedly, this is not a great game, but it's also not a bad one either. And out of all the ones on my list, this is definitely the most fitting. There's a lot going on with the visuals in Monster Party, and it has a bit of a history. You may or may not know that there was some censorship due to copyright laws, and they didn't actually take things out of this game, they simply covered them up. So there's a lot of really weird hidden stuff going on in there, and of course, just look at it. Monster Party, a party for monsters. That's basically Halloween, isn't it? And finally, I might get some backlash for this one, but at $15 even, we have Friday the 13th. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I would have much rather put A Nightmare on Elm Street in this spot because I think that's a true gem on the NES, but that one's way too expensive. Friday the 13th is a nice, comfortable price, but it's not really a great game. However, I would like to remind you what it was like when we were kids. Remember when things like Bart vs. the Space Mutants and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out on the NES? And we bought them because we loved the properties that they were based on, only to play them over and over and over, despite the fact that they were kind of lousy games. Now, Friday the 13th I can look at in a very similar light. I adore the franchise which it's based on. And yeah, even though those arcing projectiles are a pain in the butt and the map is a confusing mess, there's still some enjoyment to be had here, especially at Halloween. So what I would recommend is turning the lights down. If the music in this game is too repetitive and it annoys you, turn the volume down. Put it on your favorite spooky music. Just explore around, and when Jason pops out of the back of one of those cabins, it's a good jump scare, for the NES at least. It's something that'll get a little bit of a startle out of people, and for that alone, I think it's fun. So let's tally up the total here and see what we got. I used price charting on the 6th of October. We have 6 games in all, tallying up to a grand total of 99 bones and 99 cents. I think we did pretty good. We're only a penny short of $100. But thank you for watching and have a happy Halloween.